What's going on, everybody? Hope that you're doing well. Still in Cape Town, South Africa. Getting ready to hit the Joburg. But I want to drop this in here. Want to talk a little bit about these NGOs. What's an NGO? Charity. The charities that come to Africa. And first thing I want to say is that not all of them are bad and bogus. Some of them have some really legitimate programs and causes attached to them, but a lot of them are some straight garbage. So I want to help you understand the context of the NGO. B-I-N-G-O, 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 and bingo was his name. Oh. I said, boy. All right. Let's see. All right. Here's where a lot of people get caught. The way that this whole thing works, I want to summarize this like in 30 seconds. Basically, what happened 500 years ago, the continent of Africa was, the beginnings of it was the resources were taken, the people were taken, and that went on for 500 years, still happening to this day. But there was a vacuum, or there were opportunities. Wherever you have exploitation, you have opportunities. And so the opportunity is that if you exploit a land, rape a land, pillage a land, destroy a land, and a people, now what you can do is those who have dominated that space can come back in and appear as if they're saviors. They can appear as if they are helping, when in actuality, they're exploiting. So I say that, and that's why I preface it to say not all organizations are like this, but I would venture to say the majority of them are, because there's an opportunity in places like Africa and India, and where else? Africa, India, Philippines, any place that there is perceived poverty according to Western standards, or legitimate poverty, where there is no food, water, all of that, and the people are destitute because the land is not compensated properly as a result of these exploitations. Now these particular charities go back in and say, well, you know what we can do? We can go back in and appear to help the people, but in reality, we're not helping the people. We are, well, let's say this. We are helping the people, but we're not helping them with all of what they're due. So somebody sends in $1, we'll take 70% of that and give 30% because that we have to show something. And so that's what many of these aid organizations and all of that are doing. I mean, you look at most of them, they're headed by Europeans. Who benefits the most from Africa? Europeans or people of European descent, or China. You know, it's pretty much that simple. That's who benefits the most from it. Those who have been exploited the most from it are those of African descent, and you find that all throughout the world. That's a reality. That's a reality. And when I say Europe, I'm also including Canada, Australia, and America of European descent. You can even include Brazil, or half of Brazil population-wise, because of that. In other places, and Spanish colonies, you can include in the mix because of the exploitations. Not, Spain's a little different because they don't have a strong presence in Africa. So I think Equatorial Guinea is like the only Spanish-speaking country in Africa. But France, Germany, the Dutch, Portuguese, British, who else? French, Dutch, I feel like I'm leaving somebody out. Italians, French, Dutch, not Spanish, British, Portuguese. Anyway, the ones that came to America are the French, the British, the Dutch, and the Spanish. That's what you have primarily in America. So with this said, what I'm hoping that we can begin to do is understand how these charities work, and how we understand this thing is all about money. The whole thing, everything in this world is about money. At the core of it it comes to money, even the religious institutions, because if they don't have money to work, they're not going to operate. It's just that simple. So when I look at the NGO, what they do is they market. So they get these clever pamphlets together. You see the children, they just find the most heartbreaking image of children, and they say, now this is what we're going to promote to those people in America and other places, because we're going to tap into their guilt. We're going to tap into their superiority. We're going to tap into all kinds of things, and we're going to make a whole lot of money because we're going to craft this message right. We're going to put these late night infomercials on. We're going to show the worst, most destitute situations, and then we're going to show the results, how we bring in porridge and how we do all of these things. Well, the truth of the matter is, this whole problem could be solved if the people were compensated properly. That's all. You don't need a charity. If you compensate the countries that these people are in, and you now what can be done is you make sure that the food and all the different resources get to the people who need to get it. Now, even in these so-called developed countries, they have the same problem of poverty that they don't want to deal with. So we have this marketing campaign, and Africa historically has been branded as poor. Africa is poor. Africa is poor, 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 poor. And we Europeans need to come in and save these Africans. Now, and they do this by way of that marketing campaign. Now it's the internet, now it's all these other things. And then when you have brown people like in America and the UK and the people of African descent who have a European mind, who have a white superiority mind, then what begins to happen is you start to see something where they pick up that same kind of attitude. Oh, I'm going over there on a missions trip. Oh, I'm going over there to take them shoes. What you'll find, all you gotta do is go down most places in Africa. People have plenty of shoes. China has made sure that most of Africa has exactly what it needs to be able to survive. China has made sure of that. So, I'm going over there to take them this, that, and the other. They don't have clothes. There are places like that, just like there are places like that in many of these Western countries. But just know that the whole continent is not sitting there suffering the way that they paint the picture in America. Not to say that there isn't that going on. It's saying that the way that they paint these pictures in the West, UK, Canada, America, at that point, there's this mindset that this is what Africa is. When Africa is so diverse, the landscapes, people are missing out. Y'all missing out. If you sitting back scared to come to Africa, you missing out. I missed out most of my life because I was sitting up there listening to some old crazy people and sitting up there just as crazy, ignorant, crazy and everything, just listening to them. I missed out. Look at my pictures. Go to my IG page and look at the pictures that I'm sharing and posting, and I still deal with it. But I'm like, look, I'm not going to let you tell me that what I saw wasn't what I saw, and you haven't brought your backside over here to come see it. Anyway, I'm not going to rant on that today. I'm gonna stay focused. So when we look at this, this Africa is poor mindset also seeps into the mind of many people in Africa, because this Western culture and system has been imposed upon them. And so now where they may have thrived in their indigenous cultures, they are now forced to take on the Western culture. Even when I was in the Maasai village in Tanzania, and the children were singing the national anthem for Tanzania. So the little Maasai children were singing the national anthem for Tanzania. I was like, there's something not right about this, because the Maasai were there long before Tanzania even existed. And now you're imposing this on these children who are living an indigenous lifestyle as much as possible. So it made me start to question, like, well, okay, how indigenous is this if they're now, forced to sing this national anthem of a colonizer, meaning, which was the whole structure was formed by the colonizer. If the people want to be indigenous, let them be indigenous and let them live and be how they want to be. And then word on the street is that Tanzania is now trying to move the Maasai again, telling them where they can stay and where they can't go because they're trying to boost tourism. So that's something that caught my attention. I'm not 100% sure that that's accurate, but I've heard it enough to make me say, well, at least it's credible and worth investigating. And so the other thing is that so if you brand Africa as poor, and people in Africa watch mass media, so they make sure they put satellite dishes everywhere. I mean, everywhere, and everywhere. I'm talking about on mud houses, on brick houses, everywhere. I have seen satellite dishes. So now, if that image is going out to the world, and this satellite dish can pump this image right back into different parts of Africa, now that can have an impact on the mind of the person who's watching it to say, well, maybe we are poor. Maybe we don't have anything. Maybe we need to go to America for salvation. Maybe we need to get to the UK for salvation. Maybe we need to get to Canada for salvation because we have no opportunities here in Africa, so I need to get away. And so in some places, that I'm not saying it's not true. Okay, I'm not saying in some places that some people might need to relocate. But something that Kwabena, that I talked to him. We were talking, and he was talking about how he saw a man who was selling. He was a street vendor, and how basically he provided for his whole family, but the man said he didn't have any opportunities, and so I was like, okay, but you just provided for your family. You just sent your brother to school. You did this. You've been doing that for all these years, and you don't see where there's no opportunity. And you've done this. You've paved the way. So really, a lot of times that the mindset kind of reverses back and says you don't have opportunities. And once you believe you don't have opportunity, this is what he was saying. Once you believe that you don't have opportunities, then you operate from that position of lack. You operate from the position of, I don't have, I'm not, come save me. So now when the NGO, the charities come in, they once again come in looking like white saviors, coming to save the day. And so the people are like, oh yes, the white people are coming to save me. They're coming in. They do it in America now. They do it in America. Same thing. You have the areas, as they say, underserved areas and all of that. And then, guess who's in there doing the tutoring? Guess who's in there, bringing the food? So you have white people coming in doing that. And so now that says, wow, these people are coming to save me. And I'm not referring to legitimate charities that are, and then the question is, what's the legitimate charity? Who are the legitimate charities? That's up to you to determine before you start shelling out all that money, and knowing the percentages of where and what's going on. And people lie at the same time. So you might want to even get a little bit deeper and get on the ground and see where you're sending your money to. I spoke to an African-American couple in Charleston, South Carolina a couple years ago. I told them how I'd been to Ethiopia and all of that. And they're like, wow, when we sponsor a child in Ethiopia, we might want to go. But again, they send $30 a month. $30 a month goes, and now they're just feeling all good to get a little letter or something that they're trusting is coming from this child. And so that's, oh man, I mean, I'm just thinking about how easy it is to hustle up something like that. Because first of all, the people are already telling you they're too lazy to go travel and see and follow up. So what's $30 a month? That thing hit the auto deduct each month. They forget about it. You get 100,000 people to do that. You can live pretty well and take a little bit of porridge and send some pictures and get some little scribble stuff on a piece of paper, send it back to the people, make them feel all good, and keep the $30 a month going. It's really easy when you start thinking about how this stuff works. The next thing is that when people believe that they don't have opportunities, then, and this is something I've seen in every country I've been in, every country, where the boys beg and the girls work. Now, I've seen the girls beg too, and I've seen the boys working too. But it's this thing where they'll come up to me, the boys, and some of them young men, so it's saying, I'm hungry now. Some instances I said, look, I'm gonna buy you some food. Other instances, now this one I'm about to tell you is real deep. Other instances, I'll say, look, I'll buy you some food. They're like, no, I need the money. I'm like, well, I'm not giving you the money. So I've had a variety of conversations on the streets of Ghana, the Gambia, pretty much everywhere as far as this particular topic. So I remember in Ghana, the boys have this thing, I think they might know not to come to me now with it. They come to me, oh, they have a little piece of paper. Oh, can you give me money for my football thing? Now, this is everywhere. I look out the corner of my eye, the little girl, she's over there selling stuff on her head. She's doing what she needs, I know it's like a debt system that they have with the girls, but with the boys, it's just, hey, can I get, and I told them, I said, look, men don't beg. And I said, I'm not going to give you any money. And I said, it's not because I don't want to help you. I said, but you see that girl over there? I said, that girl is selling something. And I said, you have the ability to do and sell something as well, because if you don't start doing something productive, then you're going to be out here begging for the rest of your life. And I told one young brother this in Ghana. He looked at me. He had his little paper and stuff. I told him, I said, go find something to sell me. I'll buy it from you. Go find something. He took that paper and he ripped that paper up. He said, no. And then he just disappeared. And probably about 5 minutes later, he comes back to me and he has all of these shells that he just pulled out of the ocean. And he held them like this to me. He held them up. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna buy this one, I'm gonna buy this one, I'm gonna buy this one. And I bought the shells from him because he was willing to go sell something and not beg. But if you believe, my point here is that if you believe that you don't have opportunities and you don't have anything, then you're gonna just go with the flow of whatever's in front of you. His mindset apparently shifted in that instant, or either he was just a really savvy hustler, knowing that, okay, well, I can go get me some more paper and write this again. I can go back to it or whatever. Who knows? But he knew in that instant that what would earn him money from me was to sell me something. When I think about empowerment, in that moment, whether he chose it or not, he was empowered, at least with a different thought process. At least with a different thought process than what many of these NGOs and these charities will do. And again, I'm not saying it's all of them, but I'm just saying do your due diligence so you know which ones are the ones. All right. Here's just a couple things today that I want to give you. And this is just, these are principles that I live by. You don't have to live by them. This is just something I live by. I avoid mass public aid campaigns. I just avoid it. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what's happening. They're playing on emotions. So if I want to be effective, I'll go to a more grassroots level where I can see where things are happening. Don't let the frustrations, as far as like if you want to help and do different things for people, don't let the frustration stop you. And the other thing is, and when I talk about this, when we talk about frustrations, as you're trying to move forward, and maybe you don't have the capital, maybe you don't have this, maybe you don't have that, that's frustrating. But sometimes it forces you to become a little bit more savvy, just like that young man. He was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm not going to get any resources by me begging this guy. I need to go find something to sell. He altered his plan right there and came up with something. He was able to get the resource. So I'm saying for those of us who are seeing this, or for those of us who are feeling, maybe now I'm talking to people who might be in this position. Now you become a little bit more strategic and savvy, and maybe go in a different direction to be able to get what you need. And sometimes that might mean going to America, the UK, or whatever. But But a lot of people are missing out on the opportunities in front of them, and that's what I go back to. There are opportunities everywhere. The Chinese see it, the Lebanese see it, the Europeans see it, the Americans see it. They see the opportunities in Africa. I do see the disparities, though. I see it here in the Cape Town area. I see, Cape Town is lovely in one area, but then you start going out, you begin to see the economic disparity. Not that those areas aren't lovely as well, but you just see the difference as you get about 20 minutes outside of the city. So you realize, something has happened here. And it's like that in any major city. You're going to find the economic disparities. So it just caused me to start thinking a little bit deeper about these areas and what's going on and how did the money, how did this happen? Even though I think they said Cape Town is the oldest colonized city or something in South Africa or Africa or something. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on it. I'm gonna say this and I'll wrap this one up. When it comes to this topic of charities, there are desperate needs, and then we wonder, would the children get the even 30%? And there's a good chance that they might not even get, if you don't support it, they might not get the 30%. But, and this is where the exploitation comes in, holding these organizations accountable to say, let's flip this around, 70% to the children, 30% to your organization. And if you can't do that, then we won't support you, and somebody else will come along and take the 30%. So you begin to see the realization of where people are when you start switching that money around. And again, they'll get that little porridge made in China, put, MREs, meals ready to eat, they'll bring those. And then, again, we're so visual, you put a video together, the people, oh, Lord, look at the babies getting food. My $30 a month got them some food. And they found, and also beware those ones that's peddling religion. It's just another way to get in and keep the strong hold in place. You're making money, they're peddling the religion, the people become dependent upon them, and then here we are. People say, well, that's a great organization because they did X, Y, Z. Yeah, they might have done X, Y, Z, but they probably could have done 2 or 3 X, Y, Zs instead of 1. And so we got to get away from settling for crumbs. Well, they didn't have to do anything. I hear all kinds of excuses instead of saying, no, you owe us because you're taking our land and you're building your wealth and you're not adequately compensating us for it. And I'm saying this is what they do in Africa. You're not compensating us for it. And you're sending us porridge. Somebody got to say something. There are other people out there who talk about this, but that's the thing that's so real. So it's just something to think about. I just want some people to think about something. That's all. Think about the stuff before you start sending that money in. Get the financials so you can see what's going on. And go visit the places to see what they're actually doing. Go see what's going on. You might get there and be like, wow, these people are really doing what they need to do. For the organizations that are doing what they need to do, then there's no problem. Have no problem at all. Unless they're peddling white Jesus, then we got a problem. But outside of that, if they're feeding the people, and then you got the thing we got to be careful of is then the NGOs go in and try to, basically colonize the people, change their mindset. The proper way to do it is to speak English or to speak French. That's the proper way to do it. But their indigenous stuff, throw that away, erase that. So that's what a lot of these charities are. They're just backdoor ways of colonization. And people don't think about it, don't even see it. So many layers to it, so many layers. Then what I would do, I'd see if they're putting more than porridge in the children's bellies. Then I would want to see what type of curriculums they're teaching them. That would be what I would do. Now you're gonna have me start one, so and have like minimal admin costs, and the children understand what's going on around them. So, one day I'm sure I'll end up doing some sort of charitable work, but it's more empowerment. I mean, we do charity work now. We help a school in Kumasi, Ghana, with this renovation process. We help pay for people to go obtain higher education on the collegiate level. So those are things that we do, but it's like real world stuff, practical stuff that people need to understand. So anyway, I'll talk more about that later. But what I encourage you to do is to go, if you're supporting them NGOs and putting that money into them, I encourage you to go visit and see what they're doing. Then I encourage you to ask them for their financials, that type of thing. And then you'll know what you're really dealing with. So anyway, be sure to like, subscribe, share. Until next time, take care, be safe.